The human body is more than just flesh and bones. It is an expression of the unconscious, a physical reflection of our emotional and mental lives. Carl Jung believed that repressed emotions, feelings we avoid, deny, or suppress, don't simply vanish. Instead, they take root in our psyche, and over time, they manifest in the body as physical ailments or states of mental imbalance. How often do we ignore that sense of sadness, anger, or fear, choosing to sweep these emotions under the rug? We're taught to keep up appearances, to smile through the pain, and to move on from our feelings. But this approach comes at a cost. Jung warned that repressing emotions is like ignoring an open wound. It may seem invisible for a while, but inside, it festers. What does this mean in practice? It means unprocessed emotional pain can turn into physical pain, chronic anxiety, depression, or even psychosomatic illnesses. Jung didn't see body and mind as separate entities. To him, emotional imbalance can manifest as a symbolic symptom in the body, a silent cry for help. In this video, we'll explore the impact of repressed emotions on physical and mental health, Jung's perspective on this phenomenon, and how we can heal by accepting, expressing, and integrating our emotions. After all, dealing with what we feel isn't a sign of weakness, it's a mark of courage. Jung believed the unconscious not only housed our repressed desires and impulses, but also our unprocessed emotions. When we ignore or suppress what we feel, we create an inner conflict that can surface as physical symptoms or illnesses. This idea aligns closely with Jung's concept of the psychosoma, an integrated view of the human being where mind and body are not separate, but interconnected parts of a whole. Emotional repression occurs when we deny our feelings because we deem them inappropriate, dangerous, or shameful. These repressed feelings don't disappear. They retreat into the unconscious, where they continue to exert influence. Jung famously said, "What you do not confront in your life will become your fate." In other words, what we fail to process emotionally may return as external events or physical symptoms, demanding our attention. A clear example of this is the phenomenon of psychosomatic illnesses. Someone who constantly suppresses anger or frustration might develop stomach issues, such as gastritis or ulcers, as these swallowed emotions affect the digestive system. Similarly, unexpressed emotional stress can contribute to heart problems, high blood pressure, and even autoimmune disorders. Jung saw these symptoms as symbolic manifestations of the unconscious, trying to communicate something the conscious mind refuses to face. But why do we repress our emotions? Often, it's because we're conditioned from an early age to believe certain feelings are unacceptable. Children are told not to cry or not to be angry, learning to hide their emotions to avoid punishment or rejection. This behavior becomes a pattern we carry into adulthood, prioritizing social acceptance over emotional authenticity. Jung suggested that the key to avoiding the negative impact of emotional repression is awareness. We need to acknowledge and accept our feelings, even the uncomfortable ones, as a part of who we are. This means that instead of ignoring or repressing an emotion, we should ask ourselves, what is this emotion trying to tell me? Imagine a woman named Dana. She works in a highly competitive environment where showing emotions is seen as a sign of weakness. Whenever she feels anxious or frustrated, Dana forces herself to smile and pretend everything is fine. Over time, however, she starts experiencing insomnia and constant headaches. Despite medical tests showing no physical cause, the symptoms persist. What's happening to Anna? Her story is a classic example of emotional repression. The anxiety she consciously ignores finds a channel for expression through her body. To the unconscious, unresolved feelings are energies that must be processed. When this doesn't happen, they accumulate and manifest in ways we can't ignore, such as physical pain, exhaustion, or even more severe illnesses. Another example is Joe, who avoids conflict at all cost. Whenever he feels hurt or treated unfairly, he swallows his anger instead of expressing it. Joel believes he's being strong by not reacting, but he starts noticing frequent gastric issues like heartburn and acid reflux. From a Jungian perspective, the swallowed anger creates internal tension that finds an outlet in his body because he hasn't given it space to be emotionally processed. What about us, who hasn't repressed feelings of sadness or anger to avoid inconveniencing others? Society conditions us to seek only positive emotions, pushing negative ones into the darkest corners of our psyche. But as Jung warned, there is no light without shadow. Denying a part of ourselves creates an imbalance that inevitably takes its toll. Create a safe space for expression. Therapeutic writing is one effective approach. Writing freely about our feelings without judgment can uncover hidden emotional patterns. Practice mindfulness. Taking a few minutes to observe our emotions without trying to change or explain them can help us recognize what we're repressing. Sometimes a simple question like, "What am I truly feeling right now?" can bring surprising clarity. Seek professional support. Therapy, especially with a Jungian therapist, can be invaluable. They can help explore the symbolism behind physical and emotional symptoms, allowing us to consciously connect with these repressed energies in transformative ways. For Carl Jung, confronting and integrating repressed emotions is more than a matter of health, it's an essential step in individuation, the journey to becoming a complete and authentic human being. Individuation involves recognizing all aspects of our psyche, both conscious and unconscious, and integrating them into a unified self. Repressed emotions, often linked to the shadow, are those we deem undesirable or incompatible with the identity we've constructed. Yet this repression creates an imbalance in our psyche. Jung emphasized that healing is only possible when we approach these rejected parts of ourselves, acknowledge their existence, and learn to engage with them. How does this relate to health? For Jung, psychosomatic illnesses or emotional disorders were not merely signs of suffering, but symbolic messages from the unconscious. When someone experiences persistent pain without any apparent physical cause, for example, it can be seen as the unconscious trying to bring something neglected to the surface. It's as if the body becomes a stage where unresolved emotional dramas are acted out because they couldn't find another outlet. Jung didn't view these manifestations as punishments but as opportunities. They represent a call for awareness and growth. He once wrote, "Illness is nature's effort to heal man." When we understand the message behind our symptoms, we begin to release the psychic energy trapped in repression, allowing it to flow freely and promote healing. Integrating repressed emotions is, therefore, an act of profound self-care. By welcoming our anger, sadness, or fear, we allow these energies to return to balance. This acceptance doesn't mean being overwhelmed by them, but giving them space to exist and ultimately to transform. The practice of individuation requires courage because it challenges us to face parts of ourselves we'd rather ignore. Yet, it's also a journey of liberation. As we integrate repressed emotions, we become more aware of who we truly are and freer to live authentically. The acceptance of oneself is the essence of the whole moral problem. Carl Gustav Jung, when we repress our emotions, we not only deny an essential part of who we are, but also put our health and well-being at risk. Carl Jung taught us that integrating these emotions is a crucial step in the journey toward individuation, the process of becoming whole. But more than that, it is an act of self-love. Emotional repression might seem like a temporary solution to avoid pain, conflict, or discomfort. However, it's akin to trying to contain the flow of a river with a flimsy dam. Eventually, the pressure finds an outlet. Often, this happens through the body, manifesting as illnesses or symptoms that force us to pause and reflect. When we finally listen to what our unconscious is trying to tell us, we open the door to true healing. Accepting our emotions, on the other hand, is a transformative act. When we allow ourselves to feel, whether it's sadness, anger, fear, or joy, we release the energy trapped in repression. This not only alleviates internal tension, but also allows us to live more authentically and connect more deeply with others. Imagine the difference this can make. By accepting our emotions, we become more attuned to our desires, boundaries, and needs. Our relationships grow deeper and more honest because we show up as our true selves, instead of hiding behind masks of perfection. More than that, embracing our emotions creates space for creativity, vitality, and purpose to flourish. Jung believed that the psychic energy blocked by repression, once liberated, could be channeled into personal growth and creative expression. In other words, our repressed emotions are not enemies but allies waiting for their moment to be heard and transformed. Jung's message is clear. By confronting our emotions, we don't become weaker, we become stronger. True strength lies in the ability to look inward, embrace the darkness, and through it, find the light. Take a small step today. Ask yourself what you're feeling right now. Listen without judgment. This simple act of self-awareness could mark the beginning of a profound transformation, one that not only heals but also frees you. Remember, repressing your emotions isn't a solution, it's a prison. The key to your freedom lies in your courage to feel. Open the door.